computer.
Hi, Ben.
Button my shirt here.
Button your shirt for us.
We cut that out.
We'll have to cut that out.
Hey, good to see you, Kristen. You look
Good to see
marvelous
you.
as always. So we're gonna talk about retinol serum.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say, anybody that knows you knows that you're a retinol specialist. That is
I
your
am a
jam.
ret. That's exactly right. I love retinol. I've loved it since my days in pharmacy school. Pharmacy school, we study retinoic acid, retinol being turned into retinoic acid. Retinoic acid is the active form of retinol. Retinol is a precursor. It has its own benefits too, but it also gets turned into the single most important active ingredient in all of skincare, and that's retinol. Vitamin C is a close second, and some people would say they're pretty much the same. Nonetheless, retinol is incredibly, incredibly valuable as an active ingredient. In fact, it's so valuable as an active ingredient that it's the only FDA approved active ingredient in skincare for anti-aging and for photo damage, as well as for acne. So I've been
Yeah.
obsessed with retinol since the early 1980s, retinoic acid specifically. When retinol first became a thing, I also got fascinated with retinol because of its ability to perform as an active ingredient on its own, but also as a precursor to retinoic acid. I felt like it allowed us to deliver a prescription strength ingredient without needing a prescription. And that's kind of how we market our retinol. It's a prescription strength ingredient without the prescription. And by prescription strength, I mean it gets turned into retinoic acid, which is a prescription ingredient. It's about 100 times weaker than retinoic acid. So for most retinol formulations that you see in the skincare marketplace, there's very trace amounts of retinol. I'll tell you why that is here in a second. But you don't really get the prescription strength. If you factor in the 100 times element, say a 0.1%, which is a typical retinol strength in most products,
Yeah.
is going to be a tiny, tiny fraction of a percent. If you factor in that it's 100 times weaker than retinol, do the math, it's 0.0001% retinol, it's retinoic acid. It's hardly any potency. And
Right.
I'm all about potency. I'd
That you
rather I'd rather our clients use smaller amounts or take days off and get value out of the product. So we're always looking at potency. We're always looking at super high concentrations, taking out the BS and putting in the good stuff. So we have a 1% and 5% retinol, and the thinking was that at 100 times weaker than retinoic acid, the prescription strength, you're dealing with a 0.05 and a 0.01%
right.
retinoic acid equivalent, which, of course, as most people know, is the standard dose of a retin-A product or retinoic acid product that you get in the drugstore. So you're getting pretty much the same potency, retinoid potency, but you're getting more. Talk about that in a second. But what do retinoids do? Number one, they are activators of the fibroblast. That's the cells that make the collagen and the hyaluronic acid. That means with retinol, you're going to be turning on the fibroblasts. You're going to be making collagen. You're going to be making hyaluronic acid. You're going to be getting a beefier, more youthful dermis. It's the dermis really that the thinning of the dermis as we age, it really accounts for a lot of the misery that people have about their skin, about their appearance as they get older, the thinningness. And retinoic acid and retinol, specifically as an over-the-counter ingredient, are the most powerful dermal builders you're going to find in a topical product. But there's more. You also get skin softening effects at the surface level. You get exfoliation at the surface level. You get skin lightening at the surface level. You get support for the maturation process of the skin cells. As skin cells are rising from the bottom to the top, they're maturing. We say differentiating. And this differentiation process really is very important for the health of the stratum corneum. Number one, to build a strong, resilient stratum corneum. When the stratum corneum becomes weak, we get dry skin, we get hyperpigmentation, we get more sensitive skin, we're more predisposed towards bacterial, microbial infections, slower healing. So by supporting the movement of the keratinocyte, the skin cells from the bottom to the top, you get a stronger, beefier barrier. You get a softer skin surface, you get a brighter, lighter skin surface, you get a stronger, more resilient skin surface, you get more moisture factors as the skin cells are rising from the bottom to the top. And if you have a disease, pathology like a skin disease like acne or psoriasis, which are caused by disruptions in this maturation process, by virtue of retinol's ability to support differentiation, healthy differentiation, you get anti-psoriasis and anti-acne and even anti-eczema benefits. This,
Mhm.
that's incredible. There's no topical ingredient anywhere in the world of skincare that can do all of these different things. Um, but the knock on it is, of course, it can be stimulating, overstimulating, and some people can't use it if you have sensitized skin or if you overuse it, perhaps. So I have been on this quest for 40 years to be able to deliver high-powered retinol, where all those wonderful benefits of skin lightening and strengthening the stratum corneum and the dermis and supporting keratinocyte differentiation, et cetera, without the irritation. And I discovered a long time ago that one of the problems with retinol, is with retinoic acid, I should say, is the product is a very inelegantly formulated product. It's
Mm.
actually not a very well formulated product. It's a drug company that made it, and they're not really skincare people. Johnson and Johnson, they didn't really care about skincare. They were just looking for a standard vehicle, cosmetic vehicle with mineral oil and petrolatum and waxes, and they just stuck the retinoic acid in there. And a
Right.
lot of retinol formulations are like that. They're just standard cosmetic formulations with an active ingredient. And one of the things that we do at Truth is we've restructured and re-architected the standard cosmetic formula. So
Mhm.
that allows us to deliver more active ingredients. And that's what was my thinking when I came up with our retinol gels, was to take out all the BS and instead replace it with just two things. Number one, fat-soluble vitamin C, and a lot of it. And number two, our transdermal delivery matrix. And what we
Right.
found was a lot of people can use retinol at a very high concentration, 5%, right? I think that's our best-selling gel, our
It
best-selling
is.
topical, right? And that's unheard of. In
Yeah.
fact, I'm sure when you're talking about it to people, they're saying, oh, that can't be. That's a mistake. That's a typo. You mean
Yeah.
0.5%, right? And you have to say, no, 5%. It's because we figured out how to do it. And one of the things we figured out was if you include fat-soluble vitamin C, it takes the bite out of the retinol. Fat-soluble vitamin C is very soothing, has a really important antioxidant and skin protective properties. So our retinol gels, 1% and 5%, are very, very popular products, which is, kind of unusual for something that's that powerful and that strong. But it's because we took out the BS and we replaced it with vitamin C. And while I'm on the subject, you hear a lot of times people say, "Oh, you don't use vitamin C with your retinol." Have you heard that from people?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And you have to say, no, that's the water-soluble vitamin C. This is the fat-soluble, and it's a perfect pair. Not only
It is.
not only do you want to use it, they complement each other.
Yeah.
The retinol supports the penetration of the vitamin C, so you get deeper penetration, and the vitamin C takes the bite out of the retinol, so you can use higher concentrations of retinol. So that was our retinol gel, our two retinol gels, 1%, 5%. But I wasn't satisfied.
You.
I wanted to create an even more powerful and an even more gentle, more powerful and more gentle way of delivering retinol. And that's why we came out with our retinol serums, which, it doesn't have the same kind of body. Some people like the feel of the gel, and the gel does have a
Mhm.
kind of nice feel to the skin, especially if you have a drier skin. So we still have the gels, but for people who don't necessarily need that kind of body, or they don't want that kind of body for whatever reason, the serum is a perfect option. The serum has the same 5%. It has the same 5% and 1% retinol. It has 25% fat-soluble vitamin C, like the gels. It's also made with a base of squalane. Squalane is a very interesting skin lipid. It's a natural skin lipid that's found in the skin. It's found throughout nature, actually. We get our squalane from olives, and it is found throughout nature, and it has a real nice skin softening effect, and it improves penetration. And it's all about getting that molecule down to the lower levels. I mean, with retinol, you're going to get some benefits even at the stratum corneum, but if you really want the good benefits, you got to have penetration, and that's what the squalane provides. It's a penetrating aid, and then also vitamin E. And vitamin E is a very powerful antioxidant that also takes the bite out of the retinol. And then we included two other very interesting ingredients. One was phospholipids.
Mhm.
Phospholipids are a very important part of the skin barrier and also support skin penetration. And fullerenes,
Yeah.
also known as C60, right? And when I started working with fullerenes maybe 10, 15 years ago, nobody really knew about them. Now they're starting to get a little bit of play. Fullerenes are a very fascinating molecule. It's got powerful antioxidant, one of nature's most powerful antioxidants. Again, oxidation is part of the irritation that retinol can cause. So antioxidants like fullerenes and like vitamin C and like vitamin E have very important anti-irritation and soothing properties, taking the bite out of the retinol, allowing you to use a higher dose of retinol. And then we use an ester a benzoate ester that improves penetration. So you've got all of these different mechanisms for penetration, anti-irritation, and retinol, all in a 100% active and functional formulation without fillers, without water, without silicone, without preservatives. It's a dream formulation, really. And
It really,
right? And we know that it'll lighten your skin, it'll make your skin look brighter and healthier and plumper. It's just an all-around wonderful skin product. It's a topical skin product. You don't want to use it every day, but if you use it, I don't know, once a week, twice a week, you notice dramatic differences in skin health and appearance in 1 to 2 doses. One dose,
absolutely.
usually, definitely 2 doses. What are you hearing from you got your boots on the ground and you're out there on the street? What are you hearing?
People are, first of all, the gels were, everybody loves the gels, without a doubt. And then we came out with the Resurfix, and now they don't even know what to do. They're like, well, I switch it up. I add the gel, then I do the Resurfix.
Yeah.
They want to put it all on their face. And
I like
will
that.
tell you that I was talking to one of our clients the other day that literally said, I can tell when I'm injecting a client that uses Truth because their dermal density is so thick and plump, and
that's great.
it's like she's like, it's just amazing. She has to change her needles.
I love that. And she notices with Truth at the dermal level.
She knows the difference.
Yeah,
she knows the difference, and I know the difference. Obviously,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So many times you hear people say, "Oh, I'm using this product. I don't really notice much." That's not the case with Truth.
It's not.
I'm not interested in making a product that you're not going to notice. When you're using a Truth product, you're going to notice. It's going to be weird. It's going to be signature. You're not going to be able to duplicate it by getting another product. It's going to be a very unique product, and it's going to work. And you're going to notice the results. So for lightening the skin, for brightening the skin, for thickening the skin, for acne and blemishes, for folks who have hyperpigmentation, older skin as a general skin tonic, you can't beat our Resurfix 1% retinol and our Resurfix 5% retinol with 25% vitamin C. So anything else you want to add for the peoples who are going to see this YouTube video?
Try it out. You got to use it. It's a game changer.
All right, cool. Well, thank you, Kristen. Nice to see you.
Thank you. You too.
We'll see you tomorrow. Okay, I'm going to stop. I'll stop. So I want to tell you how I developed my formulation philosophy and the kind of concept that underlies all my formulations as well as my protocols for taking care of the skin, particularly anti-aging the skin. It all started when I was in my 20s. I was an athlete, and I was involved with weightlifting and bodybuilding, and I was hanging out in the gym. I was kind of a gym rat sort of guy. And I would always, not just me, but a lot of us in the gym, we would study bodybuilding magazines and weightlifting magazines. And these magazines had lots of exercise tips, and they also had lots of nutrition tips. Nutrition was very big in the weightlifting world. It's probably still is big in the weightlifting world, but back then, nutrition wasn't big anywhere else. It was big with weightlifters because we were always looking for an edge. But in the public domain, it really wasn't popular. It really wasn't well known, the power of nutrition. And also in pharmacy school, which I was in pharmacy school at the same time, we studied nutrition. We studied nutrition like a pharmacist studies nutrition. We studied the therapeutic value of nutrients, the healing value of nutrients, and we studied diseases and frailty as signs of nutritional deficiencies. So I graduated pharmacy school with a real understanding about nutrition from a personal perspective as a gym rat, and from a pharmacist perspective as a pharmacy student, and then as a pharmacist. And then also, while I was in pharmacy school, I had a background in skincare. I got to work in a famous skincare lab with a famous skincare formulator. I learned skincare. And when I graduated pharmacy school, I started a pharmacy, long story short. I had a few little twists and turns there, but I started a pharmacy that was specific for skincare. And in this pharmacy, I started to develop this concept. I had this epiphany that the same things I was doing in the gym should apply to the skin. I knew that when I put resistance on the body in exercise, in terms of lifting weights, for example, you tear up your muscles, you put stress on the muscles, resistance training, the muscles respond by growing, as long as there's rest, a recovery period, and as long as there's nutrition. Nutrition has to be present for the muscles to really grow. So what I thought of is, what if we could do the same thing for the skin? What if we applied that exercise strategy, that workout strategy that we knew worked? We've known it for millennia, that exercise makes you bigger and stronger as long as you rest and you eat right. So we know that that works. What if we apply that to the skin? I came up with these concepts, philosophies, and formulation strategies that would allow my products and my formulas to take advantage of this kind of stress response that the body, in fact, all biological systems have. As a matter of fact, the skin is especially responsive to stress because it's on the outside of the body, so it's under a lot of stresses. So from an evolutionary perspective, it's constantly repairing. And we know about the repair process. What we know about the repair process is the bone is stronger at the point of the break. The body repairs stronger oftentimes as long as you have enough rest period and as long as you have enough nutrition. So I came up with these strategies for putting stress on the skin, essentially. And those strategies involved removing cells off of the surface in a process called exfoliation, and then driving electrical energy into the lower levels where the skin cells reside. The combination of removing cells off of the surface and driving electrical energy in through using chemistry turns on cells, not just skin cells to make thicker skin, but also the cells that make the collagen and the hyaluronic acid to get rid of wrinkles and fine lines also. So you get benefits, anti-aging benefits, you get retexturizing benefits, reconditioning benefits. They're very similar to exercise benefits. You get bigger, better skin, just like you get bigger, better muscles. However, you also have to nutriate. You can't just exercise, you gotta come home and do your nutrition, and that's why my formulations also include products that are nutritional supplements for the skin, especially vitamins and especially fatty vitamins, and ingredients that deliver those vitamins to the lower levels where the skin, the living cells reside. The living cells are in the bottom. And so you need to have some kind of technology for driving those active materials, those vitamins, to the lower levels where the skin cells reside. And then you also have to take days off from your exercise. Exercise, by the way, the skin's version of exercise we call exfoliation, which comes from the term to remove leaves, or to exfoliate. Foliage means leaves. So to exfoliate means to remove leaves, and in the same way when you remove leaves, remember this is true about all biology. The same way that when you trim your leaves back, you get bushier leaves, or when you lift weights, you get bigger, stronger muscles. The same thing happens in your skin. So this process of exfoliating is important, but it's also important to take days off. Just like it's important to take days off when you're working out with weights. That's why you do your upper body on Monday and your lower body on Tuesday. You don't want to work the same body part every day because you want that body part to recover. Same thing with the skin. You don't exfoliate, you don't stimulate, you don't activate, you don't exercise the skin every day. You can take days off. And the amount of days off is going to be different for every person, but the concept is the same. The days off are when the tissue grows. And then you constantly feed the system. You constantly feed the skin or the biological system internally, or your plants by watering it and putting good nutrients in the soil. You constantly feed the system in terms of the skin. Fatty vitamin C, fatty vitamin A, especially in its retinol form, are must-haves. And then vitamin E and vitamin K and vitamin D, the fatty vitamins essentially, along with fatty vitamin C, and secret ingredient, electrolytes, which are minerals that conduct electrical charges when they're dissolved in water. Very special type of mineral. Only plants, or pretty much only biological systems, but especially plants, can produce these molecules, and they can be very helpful for the skin for a lot of reasons. So, first of all, exercise. Second of all, take days off. Third of all, make sure you're nutriating the system, flooding the system with nutrients. That's true topically, that's true internally, it's true at your plants, it's true about every living system. Exercise, rest, and simultaneously drive in nutrients while the system is in both its exercise mode and rest mode. All right, that's my philosophy of skincare. That is how the way I like to formulate when I formulate my Mox products or my Truth Treatment products or any products in the pharmacy. I'm looking to exercise, to rest, and to nourish or nutriate.